Okay, I think this is working now. Yeah, I'm gonna make... We're gonna make another retro gaming video now. This time we're gonna use the WinVice Commodore 64 emulator. The Commodore 64 was the computer of my childhood, really. Really good 8-bit computer back in the 80s. The best. And we're gonna play a game that I've played already on this channel. One of my real favorites. Actually, the first strategy game I ever played, I think, is called Theater Europe. I played it in my 500 subscriber special, and I actually lost the war. So this time we're gonna try and win it. We're gonna play the same side. We're gonna play the Warsaw Pact or Warsaw Treaty. But I'm getting ahead of myself. A couple of things first. To assign my Xbox controller to actually work as a joystick for the WinVice emulator, you have to download the Anti-Micro X program. And here you can assign all the buttons. So you see, there's my trigger, the fire button, and up, down, to the sides, and so on. Really great piece of software, this. And as you can see, this also works on my joystick here. That's port number 2 joystick. Most Commodore 64 games actually used port number 2. Some of them use port number 1, so if you end up with a game that is unresponsive, it's most often that your joystick is in the wrong port, and then you just have to swap joystick here, or Alt J. So yeah, I think we're just gonna get into the game and fight World War III here. Let's see if we can win for the communist side this time. So I'm just gonna start the game up here. This is the one we're gonna play. These are all my Commodore 64 games that I've downloaded. Yeah, if I had known this back in the day that we could just sit here and download all these games and just play them like this. If I had known that back in the day, I would have been quite blown away. But that's what we do nowadays with our emulators here. So we're gonna just auto start this one. I think I'm gonna warp it. Minimize this. We're gonna, of course, go into full screen here, but I want to start the game first. So we're just gonna warp. And here we are. I think full screen is on Alt D. Yes, it is. I hope the sound levels are good. We're gonna really enjoy this now. This is one of my favorite games ever. Because this is so much 80s. So it's a strategy game a strategy game about a fictional conflict between the NATO and the Warzaw Pact. Back in the day when I grew up, there was the Warsaw Pact, led by the Soviet Union, and the NATO, of course, led by the United States. And these were embroiled in a Cold War that lasted from the end of World War II until 1991, when the Soviet Union actually crumbled. And yeah, I'm not gonna do a history lesson, we're just gonna go into the game here. I'm not gonna do the action screens because they are bad and I don't like them. We're just gonna play this as a pure strategy game here. So the game is played in different phases. So we are now in the movement phase, and we are playing the Warsaw Pact. So we are in the Warsaw Pact movement phase. This is a map of Europe. Here's Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark, Germany, divided between East and West, like it was in the Cold War. France, Britain, and here's the Great Soviet Union. The United States is over the Atlantic there. So this game is played on a map of well, Central Europe here. Um, and the red dots are our Warsaw Pact units, military units. I can now move around the cursor here, or the selector, or whatever you call it. I can move it around with my Xbox controller, which makes this so much easier to play than with the WASD buttons. In fact, the only thing I use my Xbox controller for is actually these old retro games, because it makes them really, really fun to play actually, and so much easier to control. I don't use the Xbox controller for my modern games. I tried it on Grand Theft Auto, but I just can't get the fine tuning that I can get with the keyboard and mouse. So yeah. Belgium, Netherlands, and there's Bonn, which was the capital of West Germany. And under here somewhere is Berlin, which was divided between East and West um, through the famous Berlin Wall that crumbled. It fell in 1989. I remember that like yesterday. That was quite a historical event. In fact, it was, in my own experience, a larger historical event than anything that has come later. Even 9/11, the fall of the Berlin Wall was a massive, massive event here in Europe, and of course led to the fall of the Soviet Union. So the conflict we're playing here now between NATO and the Warsaw Pact, thankfully it never happened, because both of these blocks are heavily armed with nuclear weapons and intercontinental ballistic missiles. So part of this game is also about that, trying to avoid the all-out nuclear war that will destroy the entire world. So we're just going to get into it now, I guess. So we're going to start moving our units. I press on one of them and I just move them like this. So we're going to move forward against, because we're playing the aggressors. The Warsaw Pact is the aggressor here, so we're going to smash into NATO's army there on the border of West Germany, and yeah, there's Berlin there. And the goal for the Warsaw Pact is to break through the western defenses here and get up to the Belgian border here, and or take Bonn, and yeah, really make NATO crumble in Europe. So that's what we're going to try to do. We are moving all our forces here. They also have names and different stats here. So armor 4, air 3, and supply 3. So this is the 8th Guards Tank Army, a Soviet unit. And these are the 3rd Guards, and so on and so forth. Here's the 4th. That's the 41st Army, 10th Army, and so on. 2nd Polish. Where is the East German Army? The East German Army was really, really powerful. I don't think maybe they are just part of the other units here. But here's the 1st Amphibious. We're going to move that up to Denmark and take Copenhagen, I guess. Here's a special unit. We can drop this anywhere we like, deep behind enemy lines. It's really weak though, so I think we're gonna hold back on that until we need it. The yellow units here are neutrals. So here we have Austria, Switzerland, and Yugoslavia, old Yugoslavia. That's another country that doesn't exist anymore. It fell apart as a result of the end of the Cold War. We are not going to attack the neutrals. We're going to move all our armies here towards the NATO front. We can move through neutral territory. The neutral armies won't attack us. So we're going to move the Romanian armies here too. So I think we moved everything we want. Then we press spacebar to continue. So now it's our attack phase. That means we can assign our units to attack any of the enemy units. So I think we're going to try and break that one, the Belgian First Corps. So we assign 3 of our units to attack that specific Belgian force. We're gonna try and break through the front there. Really simplistic strategy. And over here we're going to attack the American 7th Corps with everything we've got on that side. So I think that's gonna be it for our first attack. And then they fight it out. We actually took out the Belgians really easily. Now we have resources here that we can reinforce our armies with. And I'm gonna assign this armor to the spearhead here because this unit I'm gonna try and push it through. I think they will cover up the hole in the front here, but anyway. We've got reinforcement air. Everything into the spearhead. And reinforcement supply. We're just going to put that on these two with number 1 there. So yeah. Warzaw Pact air phase. We are in that now. So we have 28 units of whatever that is supposed to be, but we have that in the reserve. I usually only put everything into air superiority, actually really simplistic, but I kind of do that. So I'm just gonna put everything into air superiority, or maybe put something into counter air too. I don't know, let's just spread it out this time. Whatever. We are not gonna draw anything back into the reserve from this. We're gonna leave it at this. Now we get into some really interesting stuff here. We can actually start launching our nuclear weapons now, so we might want to think about doing that. We can also launch a chemical weapons attack. It would be fun to launch a nuclear weapon, wouldn't it? Just to show that off. The danger with that is that the enemy response can be overwhelming if we are unlucky. So they might launch all their nuclear weapons on us, and we don't have our nuclear assets in such a stance that they will respond fully to that attack. But we're gonna try this anyway, so I'm gonna press F1 here. So yeah, back in the day you had to actually phone a phone number. I only think this worked in England, and then they gave you the code, the password, which is midnight. Okay, I have to wait 30 seconds, don't I? That's stupid, but anyway. So yeah, now I get the password, which is midnight sun. So now I can do this. We're gonna do the single strategic launch. And we're gonna launch a nuclear weapon at one of their units, the West German 2nd Corps, to take it out. You can also launch them at cities. If the enemy responds with a nuclear weapon now, they are going to probably target one of our cities. But I want to take out one of their units, so I'm going to take this one. Here comes our missile now, targeting that West German army. Unit destroyed. Okay. So the enemy is going to now respond by actually attacking Moscow. He's going to drop a nuclear weapon on Moscow now. Boom. There goes Moscow. What a pity. Ah. So they didn't move their units at all. They didn't pull back. Didn't move forward. They didn't attack. They didn't do anything. That is really weird. Usually they do something. Uh, I don't think they can actually block our way in here now anymore because they didn't move or close the gap in the front line here. So we're just gonna continue moving on then. I want this unit to go around. I want these guys to come up here. And the Romanian armies are still in Hungary. We might want to drop that airborne army now. Oh! Why? I can't move it anymore. Oh, because I... Okay, so because I actually clicked on this one the first round, I can't actually drop it anymore behind enemy lines. So I'm gonna leave that for the rest of the game. That is a really weak unit anyway, so not much of a loss. I'm gonna continue up with this though. So I think we're in a pretty good position with a big hole in the enemy front line here. So we need to get to here. Is where we need to get to. So I think this is good for our movement phase. We're gonna attack on all three sides here. The British First Corps with our 28th and attack with all the units we have. All in on that. And here too, same thing with the French Second Corps here. Or we could do that one. The American 7th. Yeah, but we're gonna fight the French because I want to secure this gap here. So we can do the Americans with this part here. I think this is good for the attack phase. Let's see if we win anywhere. Yeah, we took out 2 of their units. This is a really strong beginning here. I think we've blown their front line wide open here now. So this is really a strong beginning. Let's put the let's reinforce those that are weakest, and on the fronts supply we have 8 of them. We're gonna maintain this. We are not gonna launch any more nuclear weapons because if we do, the enemy might respond with an all-out nuclear attack that would destroy the entire world. Yeah, he's not really. NATO isn't really doing anything worthwhile. So I think we're doing really fine. We just need to get to Bonn now, really, and the Belgian border. So we're doing really fine, I think. Press on through West Germany with our entire force. We're gonna attack that one, the West German First Corps. I read one of, just a year ago or something, I read one of Tom Clancy's books, which is called Red Storm Rising, and they also made a game in the 80s based on that book. And it was called, well, Red Storm Rising, and it was a submarine simulator, and I loved that game. I loved it. Everything about the Cold War just was so fascinating to me when I was a kid and growing up in the 80s. So I'm a bit of a collector too of Cold War stuff. So I have full uniforms of East German NVA, they would call it Nationale Volksarmee, the East German army. I have medals and helmets and caps and stuff. And yeah, the Cold War is really fascinating to me. I've read lots of books about it. And of course, it was games like this that inspired that interest. I think we should attack this one, the Dutch First Corps. No, we're just gonna go all in on the West Germans here. So let's just attack that with all the units we have available on that side of the front, and could possibly use these two to attack the Dutch here. And the Americans here are gonna get attacked by all of these. And over here, I'm just gonna leave this unit alone, and we're gonna attack this one with 3 we have available here. That's Bavaria, southern Germany there. So we're fighting all along the front line here now. Let's see what happens. Yeah, we pushed them back at least in the north. Let's reinforce. Oh, we lost a unit there. That is unfortunate, but it happens. Let's reinforce our south a bit then. Nah, I'm gonna put that. We're gonna take Bonn on the next move, so I wonder if the war is over then. It might not be over because, well, I think they're pretty much soundly defeated at this point, aren't they? Because their front line is blown wide open now. So I don't think they have much fight in them left. So this time the game has been going very well. I'm also playing on the same difficulty level, so yeah, the easiest. I did that the last time too, but I lost the war then in the previous video. So this is a revenge video, really. Yeah, they're pulling back. They left one unit down there to kind of hold us in place in the south, so we can just swarm into Bavaria here. But we're gonna keep on moving anyway. Try to get him around him. Move this one up here to kind of close that gap. And continue on. We have more units, these Romanian armies coming up here, so we are in a really, really good position. I'm gonna move these guys in, just like this. And keep on moving. We're gonna take Bonn now with one of our armies here. So that's a major victory for us. I wonder if that will actually end the game, or if we have to actually defeat these enemy units, because there are a couple of them left, but they have no chance of winning now. Let's continue on with this. I think I forgot to move it last time. Let's do an all-out attack here, because this get rid of the American 5th Corps here if we can. And I think we want to fight here. There are also action screens when you fight the battles that you can play, and they're really silly. You have to shoot at airplanes and stuff. And the action battle screens are really silly, and I don't like them, so I never play with those. Let's see now how these battles are resolved. Well, we pushed them back in the north again, so we have no air reserves now. Supply. Let's put all the supplies we can on those that are lowest. Not gonna do anything here. We're good. And neither am I gonna do anything there. They're trying to close the front, but I don't think they have been very successful. We are very, very victorious right now. Well, this is just a parade march now, really. Our armies are swarming into Bavaria here. We even have 2 reserve armies coming up. And I'm just going to push all the boys forward towards the Belgian border. Yeah, we're now on the Belgian border here. So Brussels is the headquarters of NATO. So that's why that is one of the targets. We have taken Bonn, but the game hasn't ended. So I think we have to defeat more of the enemy armies to kind of... going to move these guys down one step. No, that was... I moved that one. Okay. That was a misclick. But it happens, I guess. I wouldn't like to move there, so I'm just going to move him here. Yeah, I misclicked there, but that's okay. It happens. So I'm going to attack this. We're really close to victory. I can see that now. So we've broken through in several locations. I think that's good. Let's fight. Did we lose an army? Yeah, we did. So that's sad. The army that was in Bonn, we lost it to the American 5th Corps there. How sad is that? Gonna take our revenge really, really soon. Let's put our air into here. And supply all the front units. I think are the most important ones. We don't have a 0 here, so I'm just gonna throw them into the front units like that. NATO pulling back. Now they're attacking me on a couple of locations. Didn't do them much good though. Oh yeah, there we go. My command ability was 80%. That's kind of low though. I was expecting much higher. But we defeated NATO this time around. I was actually expecting much higher, but sometimes I get like 97%. So that was kind of low. I think this game went very well from beginning to end. Yeah, and listen to that song too. That's Give Peace a Chance. John Lennon's Give Peace a Chance. That's kind of airy. So yeah, that was another go at Theater Europe with the Commodore 64 emulator here. So yeah, I guess that's it. I thank you for watching.